Hello, and thank you for your interest in my pain-free breakthrough program. I'm Miriam, holistic life coach and mind-body practitioner, and I created this program on purpose for individuals who have been suffering from long-term pain or also other symptoms. This program is based on the assumption that there is a mind-body element behind one's symptoms, because when symptoms have persisted for longer than 3 to 4 months, when you have multiple symptoms in the body, maybe doctors can't find anything wrong with you or are blaming the pain on a structural condition, but it doesn't quite make sense for you that this structural condition is creating all of this pain. When we're at this junction between wanting to believe that there is something else that explains our symptoms, when we start to think about the psychological elements behind chronic pain, this is what the program is for. It's for helping you to tackle chronic symptoms from a mind-body perspective, from a psychological perspective, to help you make sense of what's happening to you emotionally and also in your body. And this isn't to say that your symptoms are just in your head. It is never the case. As this will be the first thing that you will learn in this program, that when you have mind-body syndrome, also known as TMS, it's not a case of you imagining your symptoms, but it's a case of you having somehow learned to keep on generating the same symptoms. And obviously, the brain is always involved. And I don't want you to take this as any kind of offense, because the brain is involved in everything. It's involved in filtering any kind of pain, whether it's acute, like acute pain from an injury, or chronic. So there is always brain involvement, and this is why we can always work with the brain to overcome pain or other symptoms, okay? So in my pain-free breakthrough program, I aim first and foremost to educate you on the triggers and situations and traits that might lead to pain or symptoms becoming chronic. So you can really make sense of things and reflect on whether it applies to you or not. The more you learn, the more you are likely to notice things that will apply or resonate with you, and in this way, you will get back your sense of empowerment, because you will finally understand what's happening, and only then can you work on changing it. So I'm just going to give you a quick sneak peek here. So basically, once you enroll in this program, you get lifetime access to this dashboard here. There are a total of 14 lessons in the program. I will be recommending that you don't follow more than 2 lessons a week. Every lesson contains an explanatory video where I introduce the topic of the lesson, provide some pointers and some insights that I think you might find helpful. After the video, there is what I call a required reading. So this is the first lesson. So in the reading, I go more into detail, explaining how the mind-body connection works, how chronic pain works in general, depending on the topic, of course. It is science-backed, so I provide the science behind these theories, okay? There's an audio version as well for those of you who prefer to listen to the audio instead of reading. And then after every lesson, there's also tasks that you have to complete. And these are really important, because this program requires your own involvement. So it's not just about passively reading, it's also about actively reflecting, making sense of things, as I said, and doing what we call the work. Okay, so this is the first lesson. So the tasks just include the self-assessment here, some journaling, but the tasks vary from one lesson to another, okay? And they obviously tie in to the lesson. So besides that, you have actually a workbook that you can download where you will be able to complete the tasks. So you can download this and complete the tasks on your PC, or you can print it out. Okay, so it's a fillable workbook. Okay, so this is how the workbook looks like. Okay, I just scroll down a little bit. So there are tasks for every lesson, as I said. And just to give you an example, so you will be able to edit this workbook on your desktop. And also there are spaces where to write down your notes or your journaling. So basically after every lesson, you'd have to open this workbook and complete the tasks, that's all. So some tasks require self-reflection, some tasks will require emotional release, some tasks will require you to do an exercise. So that's how the workbook looks like. So if I go back to the program, so over here, besides the workbook, you have also some other bonus downloads. So there are some meditations for you to try out, some of them specifically for chronic pain. Okay, so these you can also download to your phone. So for example, there's a somatic tracking exercise, which is a pain reprocessing exercise as well. And every lesson is structured in the same way that I showed you before, but of course the topic is different. So in the beginning, it consists more of explaining how chronic pain works, why it develops, why it persists. So the beginning is more educational. Then towards the middle of the program, towards the end, it's all about you, and you're going to start working on changing your habits, on changing your responses, on changing your identity even. So there are various topics, one of them being how to overcome fear, because as you know, if you have chronic symptoms, you probably also are living in fear of these symptoms. Sometimes there's a bonus video, as in this case. Okay. But otherwise, every lesson is structured in the same way, starting with a video, and then you continue with a short reading, and then you complete the tasks for each lesson. Sometimes there are also some additional resources where I point you towards someone else's video, another practitioner's video or resource, so that you can really understand how this works and really make the most of it. Okay, so basically that's it. A total of 14 lessons complete with tasks for you to complete. It will take around 2 to 3 months maximum, okay? And I want you to consider this as a process. If you've been suffering from chronic pain and you've tried all sorts of physical treatments and nothing is working, then I encourage you to give a psychological approach a good try. Because when we change our relationship to pain, when we change our dominant emotional state, when we make sense of what's happening within, we can cause real changes in our brains and our bodies, okay? And as a consequence of this process, you will experience a diminishment in symptoms or even complete elimination. So my approach is based on Dr. John Sarno's work on TMS, tension myoneural syndrome. Some of you might have heard about Dr. Sarno, but it's also complemented by more recent research into pain reprocessing, for example, and other tools and techniques that I have found to be effective from my own experience with my own chronic symptoms in the past and also with my clients over the years. So I trust that you'll find the program helpful and that I'll get to welcome you soon to the Pain-Free Breakthrough program. Thank you.